Hi guys and welcome to my latest review. Now what I have here today is an really interesting and quite expensive, at least for my taste, quite expensive in-ear model called Kinera Freya. And it's 250 bucks. And as you can see, it looks quite interesting. It looks like something that came out from Indian shop or something like that, like some hand-painted details and things like it. It's personal taste, you might like it or maybe not, but yeah. But just before I start with earphones themselves, I wanted to show you the box. As you can see, it's quite big, and inside of it, they really tried to give you something worth 250 bucks. And as you can see, there's 3.5 millimeters to 625 adapter. There's lightning adapter too. There is a cleaning brush here. Few ear tips, but there's more inside. This is like a stylish carrying box. And inside of it, there's even more ear tips. And again, another adapter. This one it's USB 3.0 to your typical stereo jack. Okay, so as you can see, it's quite rich packaging, but we are going to continue with the earphones themselves. Okay, so first thing that you'll probably notice is they're quite big and chunky earphones. To my ears, for some reason, they fit really nice, and I didn't have any problems with that. I feel that they're chunky, but they're also lightweight, and at least in my ears, these ear hooks and the overall shape and design of Kinera Freya works quite well, and they fit great. I can wear them for a long time, I can wear them outside. I never feel that anything's bothering me here, but please keep that in mind. If you already know that you have a problem with these type of chunkier earphones, then think twice before purchasing these. And the next thing I wanted to mention is cable. As you can see, it's detachable, but I really like it. It's one of the best factory supplied cables that I ever came across. First of all, ear hooks are shaped quite nicely and soft. The cable itself is again very soft. It's thicker than usual. It's twisted, but it's not twisted that much. It's like a light sort of twisting, and because of its thickness, it doesn't tangle that much. As I'm usually used to thinner braided cables that tend to get twisty very easily, but this one is quite nice in that department. Of course it tangles in pockets a little bit, but not that much. Also, it's not microphonic. This softness really helps with that, so it's not microphonic at all in my experience. It looks like a really nice quality cable, and as it should be for this price, for this amount of money you're paying for these. Okay, that said, let's move to the most important thing, which is sound quality. And I'm happy to say that just means more good news. These have quite full and juicy sound signature. And I really like that, especially in the mid-range department. That's something that most in-ears are sorely lacking. And if you are watching my channel regularly, you will often see me complain about really harsh, analytical, sibilant in-ears. I really don't like typical V-shaped sound signature, but there's something funny about these. When I look to a promotional info, there is slight V-shaped sound signature going on there. It's not severe by any means, but when I actually listen to them, I don't hear it at all. Because, let me start from the bass region. Bass line is capable of going really deep and provide that really nice low-end rumble. And when you start going upward from that, there's enough bass notes, upper bass notes, everything is there. It's also quite precise, quite speedy, and there's enough texture to be heard. I like that a lot. It maybe doesn't have the best slam factor and kick factor that I've ever heard from a bass line, but aside from that, it's really nice and I really enjoyed it. The thing that I'm even more happy about is that transition to mid-range. Now, the part where most in-ears fail miserably is that lower mid-range fullness that actually gives a lot of fullness to vocals and all instruments, and it's determining their color, their warmness, and their timbre. And I'm happy to say that that region is absolutely great with these in-ears. They sound as full and as juicy as any good headphones I've ever heard. Not even by in-ear standards, by any headphone standards. And just to give you an example of this, these sound more full-bodied than my big hi-fi man cans. And I'm not saying that in terms of bass and bass slam and things like that, but in terms of vocal fullness and instrument fullness and timbre that comes from that lower mid-range part, these are simply great and lush sounding. And going up from that, like upper mid-range, just plenty of details, plenty of texture, but it doesn't feel pronounced or overemphasized in any way. Same goes for the high frequencies. Again, a lot of details. You can hear decent amount of track atmosphere and everything, but if anything, I feel that highs are tuned on a safe and tame side. And that's why I could listen these for hours without getting any strain from listening all that music. And that's really great. Now, moving away from the frequency response and talking about soundstage, it's still great news. Because again, it's a really wide, really spacious type of presentation that again I feel it's probably the best that I've heard on in-ears so far. And that maybe doesn't say that much because I'm not really into high-end in-ear market. I usually listen to ones that are a little bit cheaper even than these, but I really loved the sense of spaciousness and scale these present. Again, reminded me more on some full-size headphones than on most in-ears that I heard. Layering and separation of instruments is also great, and I always feel there is enough space, enough room for every tone to breathe. And there's another thing that I have to mention here. These are not difficult to drive. I hook them to my smartphone or to cheap DAC dongles and they're driven to satisfactory volumes, everything's okay. But you cannot hear what they can offer without hooking them to a really decent source. For example, if I attach them directly to my smartphone using just provided adapters, they sound a little bit harsh and congested, maybe even brightish a little bit. But then I use this cheap Sonata HD2 DAC dongle and things get much better. Now things get calmer a little bit, there's more details, more bass weight, but still that really spacious soundstage and that room around the instrument is lacking a little bit. And also there's maybe still a little hint of brightness on the top end, but that's basically the nature of this DAC. I reviewed it, I mentioned that it has a little bit of emphasized highs. So then I use my desktop source, EarMen TR-Amp, and when I'm driving these with this one, the sound takes the complete outstanding form that I'm talking about. All of these qualities, like great timbre, great color, great tone weight, spaciousness, room around instruments, everything is heard through these. Oh, and there's one last part that I really wanted to mention. Just before I started filming this video, I went online quickly and checked if somebody else already posted their impressions. And I checked hifi.org, where I also post, and one of my fellow audiophiles made a nice long review about Freya, but I was really surprised when I saw that he said his unit sounded bright and sibilant, and vocals just didn't sound correct. It was, for him, punishingly bright. And that puzzled me a lot because, as you just heard, that's just not what I hear from my review unit. It's just something I cannot determine what's happening there. And I didn't mention that because I want to disapprove his opinion, but because it triggered an alarm saying there might be some sort of quality control issues or something like that, because I cannot explain such big impression difference the other way, and because of that I'd probably advise caution and maybe waiting for a few more reviews to pile up to see what's really going on there. I'm really hoping that this, what I'm hearing, what is really full, really lush sound that I can listen for hours, is something that Freya will be known for. But as I mentioned, I advise caution. Wait a little bit and see if there are going to be more impressions similar to his. Because if they're not, if most other reviewers hear the same what I heard, I can easily recommend this to anyone even considering in-ears that are this expensive. Because, for example, even when I compare these to Moondrop Starfield, an in-ear that I really like that has that sort of soft, safe type of tuning that is good for longer listenings, these sound fuller, lusher, and even more pleasant for long listening sessions. And I'll probably be keeping those as a reference of what good in-ear is actually capable of. I didn't plan to do that. I'm not honestly a big fan of this look and styling, but they just sound so good to my ears that I'll be keeping them and comparing future in-ear models to these, like a reference. And that said, thank you for watching this video today. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please click like and subscribe and share it with your friends to help this channel grow and bring even more interesting reviews. Thank you for watching and see you next time.